Hello, everyone. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas to everyone. December 25th. Happy holidays, 10:02 a.m. in Columbia, Missouri. Now, I'm Ben Drury, and welcome on into the Drury and Friends College Football Show. Now, today, it's just the Drury. No Drury and Friends on today's episode. Now, that doesn't mean there's any less college football content that's going to get broken down, too. And we're kind of in this weird spot in the college football season. And so we're a week away from college football playoff quarterfinal games. We have some bowl games going on right now. But there isn't a perfect time frame to be able to, break down these games and truly get into them how they should. And we haven't had a proper opportunity. We are removed from the first round of the college football playoff, but we haven't really had a great opportunity to talk about the conference championships. So we're going to talk a little bit about that right now and getting into the first game, the Big Ten championship game. And so Indiana, Ohio State, 1 and 2. Biggest story in the Big Ten, because it was the championship game, but no one else really cared that much about it. 13-10, that's the final score, as you can see below. And really, that doesn't tell the whole story. That kind of paints the picture that it was, no one could get their offenses going, that Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate just couldn't catch the ball to save their life, or Julian Sayin was just not playing well. Fernando Mendoza couldn't throw the ball whatsoever, but that was not the case. Fernando Mendoza had just over 200 yards. He's now the Heisman winner, which we didn't know at that point, but this was a big statement win for his Heisman resume. But truly the whole story, and this correlates more to the final score, is just the defensive performances on both sides of the ball. And Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State wide receiver, star. Some people say he's the best wide receiver in recent college football history, which is kind of saying something, especially with the wide receivers like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State, just to name a few. But he shut down to, I believe, just over 145 yards on, I believe, about 8 receptions. And when you're looking at a per reception standpoint, that can be, kind of a big deal, because that's a little bit under 15 yards per reception, which is saying something. That's pretty good. But whenever it only happens 8 times, Indiana got the job done. And Carnell Tate on the other side of the line of scrimmage, still on Ohio State. I don't even know if that was the proper metaphor, but he only has 4 receptions, I believe, for just 25 yards. Significantly less output. Maybe it was 45. I can't 100% remember. Haven't done the research in a second. But significantly less output. And if we're looking at the other side of the ball, for Ohio State, they do shut down Indiana decently well, holding them to just 13 points, this was shocking to me in my research, but this was the first time after 43 games in a row where Indiana was able to win a game where they score 13 or less points, which is saying something. Kurt Signetti is bringing in a new brand of football, which everyone talks about, but this truly showcased that. And however, for Fernando Mendoza, who, as like I said, the Heisman winner, this was truly a big deal for him, as he truly proved to himself going from California, Cal Berkeley, to playing for the Indiana Hoosiers in the Big Ten. It truly proved that he could compete with those players. And that speaks volumes, especially going into the college football playoff, as there aren't going to be very many cupcake games in the later rounds. Obviously, you have James Madison and Tulane in the field, which that's not the topic of today's show. But for Fernando Mendoza to be able to do that speaks volumes for him, for his career, for his confidence level going into, the rest of the season. So that was the Big Ten championship game. And the SEC championship game, told a completely different story. And as you can see, the final score, Georgia 28, Alabama 7. This was embarrassing. I didn't even watch it. I didn't watch it that much. And that's saying something. I watched it for a little bit and then turned it off. It got bad quick. Alabama scored once, obviously 7 points in the first quarter, and that was it, period. That was their only contribution. And, duh, they only have 7 points on the scoreboard. But they didn't really do too much later on in the game. -3 rushing yards was their total, which for Georgia is an incredible feat, which was really, really good. Obviously, that's considering that, Jam Miller is out, was Alabama's, main running back. That's considering that, they were on a third string quarterback. That's considering that, Ty Simpson had I believe, negative 19 rushing yards, which is just rough to say the least. And so, but here's the thing with that, is that while they get held to negative yards, you would think, that is going to hinder their success in the college football playoff. But I don't think that's the truth. And we know that because last night or a few nights ago, they went to Norman, Oklahoma and won a scrappy game where they were down 17-0 and came back to win that game. Was that because their running offense was so much better? I can't necessarily say that, but I do know that they are able to play well. That Georgia game was an example of them not being able to play well when they're limited on the rushing attack. But that was a good example